Hi, this is needlepointers.com, and today I'd like to show you how to make these little in the hoop zipper bags that are by Anita Goodesign. So this is one. This is another one I've already done. These are cute, quick bags that you can make, and even are good for kids to make. They're pretty simple. I purchased a pattern by Anita Goodesign, and this is her in the hoop pocket purses pattern design. And you can see there's many different designs. I've only made this dog and the watermelon, and I'm going to show you the tulip right now, but she has all these other designs, and on the back it shows you the sizes of the designs. You can get this at your embroidery store, or quilt store, or I'm sure there's plenty of places online that sells this pattern. We'll include a link in the description of where you might be able to find one. So to make these little pocket purses, you will need an embroidery machine that can load and stitch out the patterns by Anita Goodesign. You will need to load the patterns onto your USB stick or something, or transfer them over to your machine. The supplies that you need will be, you'll need to hoop some tearaway stabilizer. I'm using a soft, lightweight stabilizer into the correct size hoop for your machine. You will need some fabrics. You'll need a main fabric, which will be used for the front and the back. So like on this, the pink fabric is the main fabric, and it's on the front and the back. You will need accessory fabrics for this design that I'm doing, which is a tulip. I need a green fabric for the leaves. You'll need a zipper, and the zipper they call for is about 9 inches. You'll need some embroidery thread and some iron-on stabilizer. Okay, to start the design, the first thing that your pattern will do is stitch out where to place the zipper. Okay, so I've removed the hoop from the machine just to make it easier to show you where to place the zipper. So here's the lines that it's stitched for the zipper, and you're going to center the zipper on there. We're not worried about the ends of the zipper right now, and you want to make sure that your middle line lines up with the middle of the zipper. That's the most important thing. The sides are not quite as important as where the sides are as that middle, because it's going to stitch lines along each side of this, and if it's not centered properly, you can end up stitching right on top of your zipper. I'm just using Scotch tape. You can use any kind of tape that you have. I found it's only holding it on here for a few minutes, so the Scotch tape seems to be working fine for me. So I tape it on the ends, but then I have been taping it in the middle also, because the first time I tried to sew one of these, the middle shifted a little bit while it was sewing, and it caused it, I had to pull out the stitches and start again. So let's try that. Okay, for the next step, it's going to stitch along the sides of the zipper. Alright, at this point you're just going to want to visually check and make sure that you have enough space that the zipper looks like it's centered on there, because if it wasn't, then you'll want to take it out and try it again. This looks pretty good. It's going to be sewing some fabric along each side of this, so there has to be a little bit of space between the zipper and where the stitching was. So I think we're ready to go on the next step. Next step is that it's going to sew the first piece of fabric, or sew the actually the placement stitch for the first piece of fabric. Okay, so you can see where it's sewed. That's where it's where we need to stick the fabric for that side. I forgot to say I usually also take the tape off after the zipper has been sewn down. We don't want I don't want too much of the tape in there getting sewn in there. So what I'm going to do next is go over to my work area, and I'm going to cut out actually the fabric for both sides of this design and show you how I prepare the fabric. Okay, so here's where it sewed the placement stitch. So what I need is a piece of fabric that I can put across there and fold over. So what I've prepared here is I've cut a piece of fabric, and you can fussy cut it. You know, what I usually do is just, you know, hold the fabric up to this place, you know, where I need it, and, you know, I fold it over and I guess. But you want to make sure you have enough to cover the whole area. So just make sure you don't cut it a little bit too small. So for this pattern, they suggest that you put a fusible interfacing on the inside. So I cut the fabric, 2 pieces of this fabric, because for this, I know for this bag, I'm going to have another side that's exactly the same size as this first side. So, you know, in the interest of time here, I cut 2 pieces of fabric, and then I cut 2 pieces of interfacing, and I've already ironed the interfacing onto this one, and I'm just going to iron the interfacing on. And this is just basic interfacing that you use in sewing of clothes, and you can buy it at any craft store, or any store that sells fabric. They should have interfacing. So I prepared both of them now, so I don't have to come back over here late in a few minutes. And so now we're ready to go back to the machine to sew these pieces of fabric. I'll also say that Anita Goodesign included a nice PDF tutorial that has step-by-step instructions on how to do everything that I'm showing you here. I just thought it would be nice to have a little tutorial on how to do this. So I have my fabric, and I'm going to lay it down open across with the right side down across the whole thing. And I want to make sure that, you know, I'm over top of the whole stitching area that it stitched out in the last stitch. So now it will tack down just the one side. Alright, so the next step that we have to do, for some reason it didn't cut there, is you finger press it folded over. You fold it over and finger press it. So this will give you a nice finished seam for your zipper here and for the bag. So then it's going to now stitch around the outline of the bag, of this one side of the bag. That is. Okay, so the next 2 steps are identical to what we just did, and it's going to stitch a placement stitch for the other side of the bag, on this side, and I'm going to lay down the fabric that I prepared, and it's going to stitch along the side of the zipper, and then I'm going to fold over, and it's going to stitch the whole outline of the bag again. So I'll be back after. So now I have both sides of my fabric, and the outline of the tulip is there. The next step is that it wants me to put the fabric on for the leaves, and this is an extra step. Not all of the patterns have it. For example, this pattern with the watermelon, this is all just satin stitch embroidered on top. There's no extra fabrics, so that one's a little bit easier. I decided to do one that has one extra fabric so that I can show you how to do this. This is called Applique applique to your embroidery. And I have a whole nother tutorial on how to do applique embroidery, so if it's confusing or something, you can always look at that video to get more information. So the first thing it's going to do again, it's going to stitch a placement stitch. And you can do this stitch in any color. I'm just going to keep it in the orange. Okay, so I know it's probably hard to see there, but you can see there's a little outline of a leaf there on each side. That's where the placement stitch is. So all I have to do at this point is cut out, I'm going to cut out a piece of fabric that is big enough to cover where the placement stitch. I've cut 2 pieces of green fabric that are the size of the leaves. And I'm going to spray them quick with some spray adhesive. And I have this spraying cloth that I use. It's just an old embroidery that I was using for testing, and I use that to spray on so that the overspray doesn't get on all my stuff and get everything all sticky. So now I'm going to take the 2 pieces and I'm going to place them over top. You have to place them so that they're over the entire area. You want them past where the stitching is, covering the whole stitching. Because you'll see in the next step we'll trim them or after we sew it. So I'll head up back over the sewing machine and do the next sewing step. Okay, so the next step, the sewing machine will sew these pieces of fabric down. Okay, so I actually forgot to change the color of the thread before I sewed this, but it's okay. So you can see where the stitches are for these leaves. So now what I'm going to do is I have these embroidery scissors, which are curved, which makes them very nice for trimming off the extra fabric. So I'm just going to go very close, as close as I can get to the stitch line and cut off the fabric. Now, of course, when you're doing this, the colors of the fabric that you use is all your choice, and that's what makes applique so much fun, is because you can change it around and make it look the way you would like. So, I mean, if you like, instead of just a plain green, I could have used a green with some sort of pattern in it. So basically that's how you do applique embroidery. Next step is it will sew the green around the leaves and put this satin stitch, which it's called, to make the leaves look sew out the leaves, and it will also sew some stems. Okay, so I finished stitching the satin stitch around the outside of the leaves, and the next step is to stitch the little hearts on the tulip. So I'm going to do that, and I will come back in a few minutes. Okay, so I stitched out the little hearts and the outline stitch for the tulip, and so we're ready for our last few steps here. The next couple steps are very important. You don't want to forget this one step especially. You need to pull the zipper so that it's actually inside the bag, because otherwise, my first bag I made, I left the zipper up here, and I stitched the back on and realized, oh, my zipper is outside the bag. So I had to, if you accidentally do that, it's not the end of the world. What you can do is then open, if you haven't cut it off, you can actually open up the stitches where the zipper is by using your seam ripper, pulling them out, pushing the zipper down into the bag, and then just sewing with your regular sewing machine across the opening. So we want to do that. And the other thing I want to do is I want to put a little loop on my bag. So I have this 3/8 inch ribbon. I just cut it, you know, randomly, a couple inches long, you know, however long you want your loop to be. And I'm going to stick it up here in the top corner. So what you want to do is have the ends going to the outside, but we want to make sure that this stays inside the bag, because we don't want to end up having it having the loop get stitched into the seam of the bag when we put the back on, which is the next step. So I'm going to just tape it on there. Actually, I'm going to tape it up here. Other times I've done this, I've also used just the spray adhesive, and I've sprayed the ribbon a little bit and then stuck it on there. Either way will work. So then the final step, the other piece that you need is a piece that covers you need 2 pieces for the back of the bag, of your main fabric or whatever fabric you want on the back of the bag. And I've prepared them. I've cut them big enough to cover the whole bag area, so I make sure I don't, you know, I'm not being stingy about it. And I've also interfaced one of the pieces with the fusible interfacing. I'm layering the 2 together, wrong sides together, and I'm going to stick them over the top and then put them in the machine. Put it in the machine, make sure it's not caught up anywhere. And so the final step is going to sew around the whole outside of the bag. Okay, so that was the final stitching step of the pattern. So I have it here, and I'll be right back. Alright, so there's a couple more steps to finish this bag up. Not too many more. So I can take it out of the hoop. Trim the little thread. So you have to open up the zipper. So I'm going to use a sharp small pair of scissors here, and I'm going to cut the interfacing open on the back where the zipper is. Okay, so we want to remove all the interfacing on both sides and any threads that are going across the zipper area, because you don't want the zipper to get caught in them, because that'll cause problems when you know you're opening and closing the bag. I'm also going to go around and trim off all the little loose threads that are around, and I will be back in a few minutes. Okay, so as you can see, I cleaned up the back. I also pulled out some of the stabilizer. That's not absolutely necessary, but it came out pretty easy on this one. So the next step is to actually, it's easier to do it from this side, to turn it over, and you're going to cut close, like a 1/4 inch around the outside seam, all the way around. And you're going to cut across the zipper, and which is fine because at this time your zipper is in the middle, and it's sewn nicely around, so the zipper will work afterwards. So I'll come back in a couple minutes after I've cut around. Alright, so now I have the bag. I have it all cut out. When you do the inside corners, you need to clip pretty close, but make sure you don't cut over the seam. The outside corners, you want to clip them across, but again, don't cut over the seam, so that you will be able to turn this. So the next step is to actually turn it. Okay, I got it most of the way, so you should be able to flip it now. Can be a little bit difficult to get the pointy edges out. You can use a pencil, or if you have a turning stick, to help get in those areas. I'll be back in a minute. So I got my turning stick so I can poke into the corners. And I can run it along the seam too. You can do this with a pencil even, or any kind of stick you have. Oh, here's a little bag. Apparently I put the ribbon on kind of backwards. The little dots on the ribbon are facing back. I didn't think about that when I was putting it on there. So if you have a certain sided ribbon, you want to make sure you put it face down, face towards the, I put this way. I should have put it face down, right side's facing. So the last thing you could do if you want is, I have these little, I found these in the jewelry section of a craft store. So this is like a loop with a hook on it. And this is a loop that's like supposed to be a keychain. So you can hook one of these onto the little loop here, and you have a bag with a loop. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have enjoyed the video, please click the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, visit us on www.needlepointers.com for more crafting information and machine embroidery supplies and projects. Thank you.